Good evening. Hope everybody's doing well. Making sure my microphone's not clipping. Well, it's been I guess I could say an anxious couple of days, anxious weekend. So as you know, I've been selected to beta test an item, and man, I'll tell you what, I've gotten to look at it. Of course, I can't say what or who or anything even related, but I can get away with saying that, wow. Out of all the other products like it in the market, this, I think, is going to be revolutionary. I really do. I really do. I am very, very impressed with the design. And that's all I can say. I can't give you any kind of a clue, a direction, an idea of what it is that I'm dealing with. But anyway, it's just, yeah, I was, my jaw dropped open, right? Again, I can't say who or what, but I can imagine the look on my face when I opened up the carton, when I took the top off of the carton. I can only imagine the look on my face, because it was just like, wow. I mean, it really just absolutely stands apart from anything else in the market. But anyway, testing of any kind hadn't started yet or anything like that, so just had approval to unbox, and that's it. So that's where I'm at on that. Very excited. I mean, I'll tell you what, this thing is cool. This thing is absolutely cool. And I think that I honestly think, and I'm not saying this just, well, because obviously I'd be biased, but I think I'm a good choice for a beta test candidate. And again, I can't say really why, I can't get into any of that, but at some point. Anyway, more of the topic at hand. I had ran across several videos, and I'm not gonna out anybody. In fact, few of the videos I had watched, pardon me, were channels that I was even unfamiliar with, never even heard of. So, I noticed there seems to be a push again here recently to instill this fear of your neighbor, fear of the roaming hordes, the fear of other people. And, man, I've talked about this before. That's not a good mindset. And first, I want to identify where it's coming from. Okay? The reason why we commonly hear on, like, YouTube, social media, the type of attitude towards outsiders, if you will, that we do, it's for many, many reasons. One of them just simply it's social media, and that person is so far removed from the problem because, hey, it's not even reality yet. And when and if it does become a reality, they're talking about your situation, not theirs. So it's no sweat off them. That's a huge problem online, number one. Huge, huge problem. Number two, when you talk to individuals, and that includes me, when you talk to individuals, you have to understand that they are likely going to be coming from where they stand, their position, their knowledge, their skill sets, all of the above, what they've got in their preps, and the whole 9 yards. So, prepping in no way anywhere is one size fits all advice. It's just not anywhere. And that alone is dangerous. But the precedent that you should be so suspicious of people, say, going by, that you may even want to take an offensive, you know what I mean? You may want to take them out just because they crossed over your property line. No, you don't. You have no idea. If you don't know who that person is, you have no idea whether or not they're, there for bad reasons, evil intentions, whether they're there for good, or whether it's neither, whether they're just trying to pass through from one place to another, which is what I guarantee you're going to run into a lot of the time. And, I mean, come on. Are you really going to take somebody else's life just because they were trying to cross over your property for a shortcut? I mean, if you're willing to do that, that's on you. But I can't defend that. I can't defend that mindset that just because somebody was trying to cut a corner across a piece of property that was worth taking their life. That's nonsense. The other thing is this, and again, I'm not going to out any of the channels or anything like that. That, in fact, some of them I didn't even never heard of, but there are some things to take under consideration. Now, pardon me, if it's just one person, they don't look like they're very organized or whatnot, that's one thing. But what happens if you do have an organized fellow, and put parentheses with an S after that, come up to your property and obviously confident, not concerned, not worried, not scared, not necessarily looking for need, you know what I mean? Just kind of checking out the situation, checking out the place, taking a look around. Doesn't mean he's after what you have. He or she, gotta say that. It doesn't mean they're after what you have. You don't know. It might be a good idea to find out why. And, why would it be a good idea to find out why that person is kind of poking around? And why it might be a bad idea just to put one between the eyes because he's on my property? Because that person might have something called an overwatch. And you have no idea how many, how skilled, how prepared, and how well planned they have their operation. That could have been a scout. And again, that can go two ways. That could be a scout for somebody looking to bring harm to areas, or that could be a scout for looking for people that are looking for help, looking for maybe new recruits, because guess what? That's what intelligent people do. They look for people. They don't cast out every person that they could possibly ever run across. They build and build and build. And I'm not saying necessarily in your house. I'm not saying that. But John Boy that lives across town isn't quite living in your house. But yet if you put one in his head just simply because he walked across your property, well, he's not much help of you at that point, is he? What if he was a surgeon? What if you just took out a surgeon because he was walking around trying to see if anybody needed help? Again, this whole mindset, it's like there's this passion with violence, especially among the prepper community, Do you people really think that every day is going to be riddled with so much violence that you're just going to be wearing armor plates all day and your AR-15 and that's all you're going to do? Are you that stupid? Because that's stupid. Look, wouldn't you really feel dumb if you failed an open book test? I know I would. For good reason. Well, that's what this is. It's an open book test. See, it's not like these questions have never been answered before. It's not like these situations haven't occurred on this planet. Maybe they haven't in your town, in your state. Probably not. But I guarantee you they've happened in many other countries and continue to happen today. And you can find out what happens in those areas simply by looking. Research is not something the prepping content creator community does a real good job of. You know, they maybe get a page or two or something into something, and that's pretty much, they just look for enough content to make a video, and that's not enough to speak with any knowledge on a subject, right? It would be completely stupid for me. What do they call that thing where you jab a needle in somebody's, see, this is my medical, right? You jab a needle into somebody's lung to let the air escape, or well, you know what I'm talking about, right? Right. Yeah. I'm not the guy. If you're in medical trouble, you damn well hope that this ain't the face that you see standing over you. Okay? It's not going to be a good dictator. But let's just say that I read an article of how to perform that procedure, or, you know, a couple articles, how to perform that procedure, and then I come on YouTube and I'm making a video and I'm talking about how to do it, and yeah, you just grab it out like this and you need about 15 pounds of pressure and you just jab it down, right? I mean, that is literally how some of this content is, folks. That is literally how bizarre, how far off some of this advice is. And it's scary. You know, I try to point out the good stuff that's out there, because there is good stuff out there. City Prepping made an incredible video today. If you're having a hard time grasping the whole solar thing, how much solar do I need and stuff like that, City Prepping made a video today. Incredible. See, that is a prepping content creator, not somebody that comes on YouTube, talks about news and current events. And some of them do it well. Southern Prepper 1, excellent, incredible job. He's bringing value. He's bringing valuable intel to you. Most of these folks are just reading articles and coming and giving your opinion. And I'm trying to I'm trying to figure out how that's a prepping channel. That's like an opinion channel? I don't know. It would be like me saying I was a prepping channel. You know, the prepping content that we do here is, you know, pretty small, really, because we're not a prepping channel. We're a news channel. Imagine that. But anyway, and then there's this, and I've spoke to this before, and in the description of the video, I linked a YouTube video from Alpha Charlie Concepts. And, what was the name of that video again? Let me take a peek here. I can peek. Lessons learned. Are we training realistically? And again, the channel was Alpha Charlie Concepts. And, a lot of what he was referring to in that video was he was talking about, you know, all the different kind of training that a lot of people get for firearms and stuff like that. And, he's asking the question, are they training realistically? Is this training, how beneficial really is it? And it raises some good questions. And before we look at that, we first need to understand that some individuals are just good at stuff and some people aren't. And that's just the way it is. Some people can really, really try as hard as they can at certain things, and they're just not acclimated for it. They're just not, in whichever way, built for that. And other people could walk in and do that same thing and make it look effortless. And so we have to understand that. We have to recognize that not everybody has the same skill level, even from the get-go, right? Some people just are more naturally, say, mechanically inclined, for instance. I'm one of those people that I'm naturally mechanically inclined. So, is it that Mr. Rittenhouse is just that much of a natural? That when those events that took place that night happened, that because now he didn't have any extensive training, okay? He had some. I would put it as minimal. I would classify it, what he had was minimal training. But yet his performance was near flawless. Did an incredible job. He didn't have all these training courses. He wasn't out every single weekend shooting targets. So, explain that. Well, the truth of the matter is, like I said, you have people that are naturally more inclined to do certain things. Shooting is one of those. I fully believe that he is a natural at handling a weapon. No two ways about it. Just seeing how he handled it. A natural. But at the same time, the events, the way they unfolded, the lack of other interference, okay, and I'll explain that, led up to his success. Now, what do I mean lack of other interference? Well, okay, to totally have changed the outcome of that evening only would have taken one more person. And while Kyle was focused on somebody one direction, somebody else, like the gentleman that had the skateboard, come up behind him with the skateboard and get 2 or 3, and I mean 2 or 3 good solid. I know he got hit, but I'm talking 2 or 3 good solid hits. We're talking skull fracturing hits. That would have ended up differently. And at that point in time, how much would any extra training have helped him? When do you reach that point to where no level of training or natural proficiency is going to help you? See, again, it comes with this whole romanticizing violence, in my opinion, because we're spending so much time talking about something that truly, it all depends on the moment. Hey, it doesn't matter if you've got a mag of 300 people. If somebody takes you out while you're on the shitter, what did that matter? Right? I just think that there's a lot of unreal expectations out there. I think as a result of that, I think it's sending people wrong directions, not only in how they interact with others, which could cause very, very dangerous situations. Because if somebody is a scout, for instance, it's not going to be a good day to take them out. Because there's going to be some people coming to talk to you about the situation. And they're not going to be in ones. So, I would advise against that. I would advise with a much more sensible, try to find out what's going on approach and go from there. Instead of, just do this. Yeah, you will. That video, by the way, I linked it, the Alpha Charlie Concepts video, I linked it down there because it is an extremely good video to watch, and I urge you to watch it. One of the reasons why I like Alpha Charlie Concepts channel, and I like him, and I like his content, is because his channel is about, like, information. He don't sit there and focus on making sure that there's a video or 2 videos or 3 videos every single day. You know, that's not his channel. His YouTube channel isn't focused around his compensation from his YouTube channel. He's got a job. And so when he provides information, it's just that. It's not information. He's not doing it to be any kind of entertainment or provide any kind of entertainment. And that you have to watch for in the prepping world too. That is, I think, probably the biggest thing really to watch out for and be careful of, because there's a whole lot of channels out there that they're doing what they're doing for entertainment. I could piss a lot of people off. Is that really what you're looking for? To be entertained, to be wowed by how good somebody edits a video, or what cool pile and stacks of stuff that they have? And I don't know. I'm worried, folks. I am worried with what I see. There are a lot of people that are getting very scared. And I see it. I see it on social media. I see people expressing their fear with their upcoming utility bills, with the rising prices of food. And my fear is you've got a bunch of these people out there that all they want is compensation in one form or another. And I fear that these new folks that are new to prepping, new to preparedness, are going to latch onto these folks. And it's sad. It is sad, because even if you watch, like, in live chats and stuff, even if you watch the interaction or read the comments, the interaction, the tribalism, for one, is just insane. It is off the charts. But it is just mind-blowing. YouTube comments are a cesspool. They are. We're probably fortunate we don't get tons of comments. We do. We get them here and there. But I don't hardly ever get notified, and I never remember to go click comments and then look. And they never let me know that I get comments. I never know. So, I don't know. I don't think that's normal. I think I've got to check to get an email or whatever, but I never get them. But anyway, I like Alpha Charlie Concepts because he's just about the information. He's not about entertainment or anything like that. And I like channels that are information based, you know. Now, the only quote unquote prepping channel that has some of a focus on entertainment that is fine because of the way it's done, it would be City Prepping. You know, he intends to make his videos well done, And when I say entertaining, I don't mean in a way to get you laughing. I don't mean in a way to get you emotionally worked up one way or another. That's not what I mean. What I mean is he tries to follow the rules on making sure that you don't get bored. That you having the camera switches every so often, and all this different stuff, because that stuff makes a difference. The reception of my content is poor, largely because of the lack of production that I do in my content. Could I do that good of production on stuff? Yeah. I mean, it's not hard. What it is it's really boring. I can't stand editing. It's like putting bamboo shoots under my fingernails. I don't know why, man. I just cannot stand video editing. I don't know. Just something about it. To me, it's mundane. But, anyway, got way off track there. Just be careful of the information that's ruminating out there. And then also, this whole urgency to make sure you're with a group, with a mag. Don't freak out if you don't have a mag set up. Let me tell you something. And I've spoke to this a number of times too, and it's something that people, even the folks that I hear talk about it, it's like they might brush up against the subject, but they really don't spend the time on it that they need to. Hang on. I'm referring to, and this is a fact, you have no idea how somebody is going to react in a situation until they're in that situation. And they don't know either. They could tell you, right? But unless they've experienced that situation before, or been at least somewhere in some way close in that situation before, they can't really honestly tell you how they're going to react. Now, they may have a pattern in their life of being able to react a certain way in certain situations that may give you an idea. But to be exact and, as an absolute, kind of hard to do. Well, I'm telling you now that there are a large amount of groups, mags if you will, they're going to have instant problems when things go south because Susie or Johnny flipped out. Just like completely just lost their marbles. And it's probably going to be a bit more common than what folks think. And you might be a bit surprised at the folks that have those kinds of issues. You just got to see it to believe it. That's all I can say is you got to see it to believe it, because if I would even hint to you of the personality types that going to snap first, people would tell me I was wrong. You just got to see it. So it doesn't really matter in that aspect whether or not you've got a large group all set up already, because guess what? There are people that are tucked away in corners places that think they're untouchable, that are going to have their own people turn on them just simply because they snap. Now, I'm not saying that's going to be widespread and that's something that everybody needs to fear for, because that's not the case. Not snap on that level. But there are snapping on other levels, and there are many other things that could most certainly cause problems. What if somebody wasn't quite able to buy as much as what they were hoping to have by the time the balloon went up, and so now the balloon has gone up, and, they've only got 4 months worth of food, but they already know they're going to be in for it for a couple of years worth of trouble. And so they decide to start skimming off of other people's preps. What happens if that arises? I'm not trying to put down, because we could what if it to death, and I can't stand people that just what if everything to death. But you have to look at this realistically. And just because somebody has a group of people doesn't mean that they're squared away. And just because you don't have a group of people doesn't mean you're doomed. Because you're not going to know who's truly in your tribe. And when I say that, that is in no reference of what people may think their tribe is today. You won't have any idea of who's going to be in your tribe and who's going to truly have your back until that time comes. Until you are in that situation with all of your other brothers and sisters out there, and they react in whatever way they're going to react to all of the situations that's put before them. So keep that in mind. I know that there's a lot of people that seem to be a little concerned because they don't have a group of 1,000 people. Don't sweat it. Don't sweat it. Keep prepping. Keep praying. And the Father makes sure that you have who you need when you need right there. But you got to keep prepping. You got to keep praying. I just, like I say, I wanted to discuss that because it just really seemed like, I don't know, I don't know if something's going on. I can't watch a lot of prepper channels. I can't. They're just so much bullshit. I'm going to be just honest. I can't. If it's not ego, it's just opinion that's so far off the charts it's unreal. And most of it's talking about news and current events. If I thought it was a prepper channel, I wouldn't learn how to do something, or at least, But anyway, so I don't watch a lot. I don't know if something's going on, if there's another 5 ways that your blah 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 is gonna blah blah blah. I don't know if one of that stuff is going around or something. I don't know. Who knows? I haven't ran across what the boogeyman of the week is going to be yet. So, I figure we'll know tomorrow. Anyway, I'm going to, I don't have a lot of tabs open tonight because, it is Sunday and we cover all the news from Friday up till Sunday in the headlines. I did sneak out a little bit earlier for a picture. So, meh. Now that I'm getting ready for the sun to set, the, Mother Nature's going to be like, we're just going to give you crap. No, it's not bad, but it, not what I like. Oh, I did bring up that video, just so somebody could see, folks could see what the channel looked like and stuff. That's Alpha Charlie Concepts. That's the video I'm referring to. Lessons learned. Are we training realistically? So, good video. Oh, man. Right on, Leo. Thank you. Oh, man. This came out, right before I started the show. Biden warned Z of gigantic mistake. Now, I know. I know how afraid all of you would be if Biden threatened you. But, it's like, you can't remember how to tie your shoes. You're going to do what? Anyway, President Joe Biden said he tried to lay down the law with China early in the Russia-Ukraine conflict, warning President Xi Jinping that it would be a gigantic mistake to ignore the West's anti-Moscow sanctions or not to have the cherry cobbler ice cream. I said that if you think that Americans and others will continue to invest in China based on your violating the sanctions that have been imposed on Russia, I think you're making a gigantic mistake, but that's your decision to make, Biden said in a CBS News interview aired on Sunday night. I don't believe that he could put that many coherent words together at the same time. I think you're fibbing. Biden issued that warning when he called Xi in March, weeks after the Chinese leader met with Putin on the sidelines of the Winter Olympics on February 8th in Beijing. He claimed that he didn't intend to threaten China. Hell, he probably didn't remember doing it. He wanted to warn Xi of the heavy price that Beijing would pay for violating the sanctions. Asked whether apparently warming relations between China and Russia might portend a new, more complicated Cold War, Biden rejected the notion. He suggested that Beijing has heeded his warning, at least partly. Yeah, can't you tell? Thus far, there's no indication they put forward weapons or other things that Russia has wanted. So, well, maybe I shouldn't say any more. Now that sounds more like something Biden would say. I don't know anymore. Who the hell am I? Why is all this carpet red? Oh, man. I don't know. I have to laugh. I don't know what else to do. I mean, it's the United States of America. And, our president needs reminded of his name. I mean, I don't even know how we get here. I just don't. Top U.S. general frets over Russia's next move. Well, I'm glad somebody's concerned. Biden, too busy threatening China. America's top general has reportedly reviewed defenses at a base in Poland and called for U.S. troops in Europe to be at a heightened state of readiness, I don't know, amid uncertainty over how Russia will react to battlefield struggles in Ukraine. The war is not going too well for Russia right now, so it's incumbent upon all of us to maintain high states of readiness, alert. Chairman of Joint Chiefs of Staff General Mark Milley told reporters on Sunday after visiting an unidentified base in Poland. And I think, by the way, we've got a lot more involvement going on over there than even remotely what's being said on both a private and a I guess you'd say a public level. I do believe we've got troops in there. Do I think that they're necessarily forward operating troops? Well, maybe some for intelligence, but probably not for combat. But I do believe that they have people from the private marketplace, if you will, mercenaries that are operating there. And I think that they are ramping up operations, and that's why you're seeing a little bit more of a secure approach from the United States, because basically we've got assets in the area. So, just my thoughts. I don't know anything for certain, but I wasn't born last night either. The unidentified base, reporters traveling with Milley were sworn to secrecy about its location, was built shortly before Russia launched its military offensive against Ukraine last February. It has reportedly been a key hub for training Ukrainian forces and delivering weapons to the former Soviet Republic. Because of its role in the conflict, U.S. officials have suggested that the base could become a target for attack by Russia. I'm particularly interested in checking things like force protection to ensure that U.S. forces are in adequate state of readiness in the event of anything ever happening, Milley said. He added that Russia's recent territory losses in the Kharkov region don't necessarily mean there's an increased threat of attack against U.S. forces, but he noted in the conduct of war, you just don't know with a high degree of certainty what will happen next. Russian officials have warned that Washington has made itself a direct party to the Ukraine conflict and even boasted about the Pentagon's involvement in Kiev's battlefield successes. The U.S. has sent more than $15 billion in direct military aid to Ukraine so far this year, and it has deployed around 10,000 additional troops to Europe. Milley reviewed the Polish air base's air defenses, including 2 Patriot missile batteries. He claimed that the conflict has entered a new phase with Kiev having gained the strategic initiative. Because of that, we have to very closely watch what Russia's reactions to that will be. Yeah, I think they poked a bit, and I do think that they're concerned how Russia's going to react, and I do believe Russia's going to bring a foot down. I really do. I don't know how or when, but I think soon. I don't know that it'd be nuclear. In fact, I kind of doubt it would be. They've got lots of tools to use aside from that. I mean, why would they do that when they've got a host of other weapons to choose from that, in all reality, I mean, because, okay, if they used a nuke on Ukraine, it would be a tactical nuke. It would be a low-yield tactical nuke. So why would they want to use a low-yield tactical nuke and piss off the planet when they could use some new type of technology that did even more immediate damage and may not have the long-term fallout or whatever? I mean, think of the what they call the rod of God, that tungsten steel or whatever from space that they launch down towards the Earth, and it hits the Earth at such a high speed that it just unleashes devastation. You know, I forget the one name for it. I know some people referred to it as rod of God, and that's what they referred to it, not me. But anyway, I believe that's a system that's actually up there. No doubt in my mind of that. And I wouldn't doubt that other countries like Russia and China have satellites up there with the same capability. So why wouldn't they do something like that, which would not have the same psychological effect, if you know what I mean, as what using a nuclear weapon? I don't know. I don't know how they're going to respond. I've been saying for quite some time to kind of watch it closely, that I do think things are going to really turn stupid over the conflict over there. I mean, right now, both Russia and NATO are using it as a test bed for new weapons, so. Might even be some kind of crazy stuff going on over there now. What was it? I think there's been claims, and I'm not saying anything. All I'm saying is that there has been claims that there has been a lot of UFO activity over the area there. So, you know, I mean, are they UFO? I mean, are they aliens from outer space, or are nations playing with their new toys? There's really no way for us to know. Let's see. U.S. secretly making plans for Guantanamo Bay, says the Wall Street Journal. The U.S. government has quietly stepped up efforts to close the prison facility at Guantanamo Bay Naval Base in Cuba, the Wall Street Journal reported on Saturday. Despite being one of President Joe Biden's campaign promises, the White House took a low-profile approach to the issue during his first year in office in order to avoid political controversy, sources told the outlet. But now Washington is moving closer to shutting down the prison, which was set up in 2002 to host foreign terrorists captured abroad, according to the people familiar with the matter. For the first time, a senior diplomat has been appointed to oversee the transfer of detainees from Guantanamo Bay, the Wall Street Journal says. The job of the special representative reportedly went to Tina Kadenow, a former ambassador at large for counterterrorism. The Wall Street Journal said it tried reaching Kadenow for comment, but the State Department spokesman replied that she was unavailable. The Biden administration has also been signaling that it wouldn't interfere with plea negotiations that could resolve the lasting prosecution of alleged 9/11 mastermind Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and 4 other co-defendants, the Wall Street Journal said. Mohammed is among the 36 detainees currently held at Guantanamo Bay. The infamous facility has hosted around 800 people, often held without charge or trial. Over the past 2 decades, it has received a new inmate back in 2008. It last received a new inmate back in 2008, so they say. The promise to close Guantanamo Bay was first made by Barack Obama, under whom Biden was vice president. Back in December, it was reported that the U.S. Department of Defense was moving ahead with a $4 million project to build a new courtroom at the facility. You know, $4 million to build a new courtroom so they can close it down. Because somebody knew somebody that had construction business needed some money. Well, we need a new courthouse. Then we're going to have to hire somebody else to demolish the courthouse after we're done. Crazy. U.S. has a new murder capital. Hey, it's good news for us. New Orleans, one of the most popular U.S. cities for tourism, has achieved an unwanted title, America's murder capital. Surging crime and breakdowns in law enforcement have given the Big Easy the highest U.S. homicide rate, far exceeding those in such violence-plagued cities as St. Louis, Chicago, or New York. There have been 205 homicides so far in 2022, up 141% from pre-pandemic levels and 46% up higher than this time last year, according to data from the New Orleans Metropolitan Crime Commission. The city's homicide rate of 52 per 100,000 residents as of last week surpassed the previous U.S. murder leader, St. Louis, where the rate was less than 45 per 100,000 so far this year. So, we slipped into number 2, but, I'm sure St. Louis come from the rear. The New Orleans homicide rate is nearly triple this year's level in Chicago, one of the most notorious U.S. cities for gun violence. And that's crazy, too, because it was Chicago. Chicago was the murder capital not all that long ago. Detroit, I can remember when Detroit was the murder capital. I mean, it just seems to go from city to city to city. It's amazing how that works. Anyway, I'm not going to read the rest of that, but I mean, yeah, that is how insane stuff is in these big cities. And then I turn around and I put the video out earlier today. In France, they're talking about distributing the the illegal immigrants, throughout the countryside. And you better believe that they're going to do that here. So all the people that live in the strong red communities that have been laughing here recently, hey, I'm one of them. I really do think that there are folks on the left that's going to do everything they can to litter this entire nation with illegal immigrants. I really do. We'll see. It's crazy. U.S. veteran suicides far higher than reported. This is crazy. Hang on. Okay, sorry about that. Yeah, I thought this was nuts. America's military veterans are killing themselves at more than double the rate reported by the government, wiping out the equivalent of a platoon of former troops each day, an extensive study has revealed. An average of 24 former service members are dying each day by officially declared suicides, 37% more than has been reported by the U.S. Department of Veterans Affairs, according to a study released on Saturday by a not-for-profit group called America's War Partnership. An additional 20 veterans on average are dying each day by self-injury mortality, such as drug overdoses. The VA typically categorizes deaths caused by self-injury as accidental or undetermined, but AWP said such cases involve deliberate actions that prove fatal, in many cases deliberately. The group's study, which was done with the assistance of contract researchers at the University of Alabama and Duke University, was based on a deep dive into 2014 to 2018 data from 8 states. The VA reported on an average of 17.7 veteran suicides per day for that period. It's devastating, AWP President Jim Lorraine told NBC News. I'm not only a veteran myself. My son serves, my son-in-law serves, my wife is a vet. I know a lot of veterans who have died from suicide. AWP speculated that the undercounting of veteran suicides likely stemmed from human error and other factors that cause many deaths to be miscategorized. The study found that former troops with less than 3 years of service are at greatest risk of suicide, and those who were demoted during their military career take their own lives at a 56% higher rate than veterans in general. Each year of an additional service reduces the probability of suicide by about 2%. Among the various service branches, veterans from the Coast Guard have the highest suicide rate, followed by the Marines, the Army, the Navy, and the Air Force, the researchers found. Rates were about the same across gender and racial categories. Veterans who live with a partner, such as a spouse, are nearly 40% less likely to kill themselves. A study last year by Brown University found that over 4 times as many U.S. soldiers and veterans have died by suicide than in combat since America's War on Terror began in September 2001. And that is stunning. 4 times the people have died by their own hands than would have died in combat as a result of the mental trauma left behind from war. It's not the bullets, folks. I keep saying it, you know? All these channels want you to be prepared so much for the combat. Man, the large majority of people that die in war-torn or poverty-stricken nations aren't dying by bullets. They're dying by starvation. They're dying by disease. Everybody's not just getting shot. Well, I think someone would be foolish not to prepare to defend themselves. I think it would be ultimately foolish to invest $100,000 in firearms and $1,000 in food. I don't see the point. All you did was buy a bunch of stuff for somebody else. That's the reality of it. If you didn't plan accordingly, if you didn't plan correctly for your own needs, and you don't survive as a result, somebody is going to use those other items. Just a matter of fact. Anyway. I don't know, it just popped up on the right hand side of the screen that I did the intro video on. A DIY Halloween props realistic fake fire special effects. Yeah, I watch stuff like that. Anyway, it just came up down like, ooh. May have to remember to watch that. Squirrel. Alright. Have a couple of vapes. My sinuses are giving me hell. Probably the dog's fault. I haven't heard her huff tonight, so I'm sure she has. Oh. Oh. Mom had her distracted with crackers. Settle down, not white people. You know, the tasty little round things. I mean, come on. Alright, let's see. Starting with the news I put up Friday. CIA torture report to remain secret for national security. You don't say. A hit-and-run suspect rams car into U.S. military base. More clashes break out between former Soviet republics. Germany faces wave of bankruptcies, and MP warns. France makes grim prediction about European energy prices. Turkish banks targeted over Russian payment system, says Financial Times. Moscow slams West over Ukrainian grain deal. Amazon takes aim at another beloved film franchise. Doesn't it remind you of part in the movie Beverly Hills Cop? And they have Eddie Murphy is at that hotel. Pardon the language, because it's coming. Yeah. What can we fuck up next? It was great. I loved it. It was an awesome movie. NATO chief calls for arms production boost. Germany seizes control of Russian oil refineries. A RAND corporation dismisses fake report on plot to cripple the EU. A blast kills LPR prosecutor general. Ukrainian strike hits Kherson administration, says authorities. India calls on SCO countries to tackle food and energy crisis. Moscow calls for criminal prosecution of Polish president. Pound crashes to 37-year low. Europol arrests high-value target in Malaga. Malaga? I don't know how that would be pronounced. It could be Malamiho. Who knows? Armenian PM comments on martial law. Russia tests anti-ship missiles in Arctic mission. A Chinese leader warns of color revolutions. Yeah, I mean, it's much better than just gray tone, right? Gray tone revolutions are boring, right? Everything's just like blah. Even the pastel revolution. A pastel revolution, I mean, you get a little color, but you're left wanting more. You need more. So, yeah, definitely a color revolution. Like 10-bit color, too. Make it a 10-bit color revolution, and you have anything you want. Sorry, I'm a tard. I know it. Eurozone inflation hits a record high. Pope comments on mortality of arming Ukraine. Russia lowers key rate as inflation drops. Let's see. Massive fire consumes Chinese skyscraper. Texas declines to pardon late George Floyd. Ukraine conflict won't end soon, says NATO. Gold plummets to 2-year low. China sanctions bosses of U.S. weapons contractors. Big tech steps up censorship after Biden's speech. Imagine that. Leaders of ex-Soviet republics agree on troop pullback. Russia ready to give fertilizers to poor nations for free, says Putin. Putin warns of more serious response in Ukraine. A Russian fertilizer supply to India booming, says Putin. Putin explains how Russia and Turkey will bypass the dollar. Schedule for testing digital ruble is announced. Germany must become best equipped army in Europe, says Scholes. Putin reveals if Ukraine plan will change. U.S. restricts fentanyl exports to Russia, which I find mind-blowing. Elite U.S. neighborhood boots out illegal immigrants. Putin suggests why Ukraine conflict is dragging on. Casualties after Ukrainian strike on Kherson revealed by the local authorities. China preparing Taiwan takeover by 2027, CNN citing the CIA. Too many C's involved there. Facebook reported users to FBI, says media. I'm sure that doesn't surprise anybody. Washington ponders creating digital dollar. You're just pondering it, I'm sure. Zelensky names terms for transport of Russian ammonia. Everyone will freeze if Russia turns off gas to the EU, says the Serbian president. The White House likens governors to smugglers. Yeah, they don't like this whole busing the immigrant into their backyard trick. Russia sanctions aren't working, U.S. officials tell CNN. What was your first clue? Ukraine admits killing civilians. Global recession coming, says FedEx CEO. A lot of these, the logistics places, if you will, like UPS, FedEx, and stuff, they're saying that package deliveries and stuff like that really down, and people are pretty much tightening up across the board, buying just what it is they need. People not just out buying a bunch of stuff anymore. I think things have really tightened down, and you have to understand, a lot of times when you see companies run sales, it's not because business is doing well. They were running the sales because businesses aren't doing well, and they're trying to pull it in. They're trying to bring in the business, so they run a sale. It's a promotion to try to get people to bite. So when you see so many different companies, and it doesn't matter on what it is, but when you see so many different companies running such good quote-unquote sales and giving, these killer deals, you have to understand it may not necessarily be because they are just raking it in. There comes a point to where they no longer rake it in on a level that, things like advertisement and stuff like that continue to be feasible. And I think you're going to see, in fact, we've already seen a very, very big move towards this, and I'm talking about the removal of funds from advertising. Advertising shrunk massively, and this happened before COVID. Advertising started shrinking, and then it took a hit, of course, with COVID, and it just continues to take hits. Companies aren't spending as much on advertising because they're not getting as much back. There's not as much return for their investment with it anymore. So a lot of people like advertisers and people that deal with logistics and stuff like that. They can see the stuff. Israel strikes Damascus again, says Syrian media. Ukraine to jail people over Russian passports. Texas claims victory in censorship fight. Spy agency chief charged over top secret leaks. And we are to yesterday. Let me have a sip of coffee. Heck yeah. I still got to do some stuff here to get ready for starting the testing phase of I'm watching myself very carefully. Tomorrow I have to finish doing some stuff to get ready to go into the testing phase. And man, I can't wait because I have a sneaky suspicion that tomorrow we'll be able to begin that phase. So can't wait. Cannot wait. Oh, let's see. Been a long time since I've been so excited to watch how something works. I'll say that. All right. Let's see. Selfish Norway must share wealth with Ukraine, says lawmaker. Of course, this is yesterday's news I shared out. U.S. pledges its nuclear capabilities to Asian ally. Currency exchange will always be possible in Russia, says central bank. African leader tells U.S. not to punish continent. A Russian oil major boosts profits despite sanctions. Energy giant explains why France faces power shortage. Ukraine molds long-range rocket deliveries from U.S., says FM. By the way, as far as why they face power shortages, I don't know. Maybe they got dumbasses running the energy over there, maybe? Got the same thing here, 9 in 10 Italians plan to cut spending to pay for energy, says a survey. Moscow has potential new buyers for half of its oil, says Bloomberg. Russia can declare victory whenever it wants, says Budapest. I would say that's probably pretty accurate. Again, I really do think Putin could just put a paw down, a big old bear paw. I think if he wanted to, he really, really, really wanted to, he could wipe out the leadership of that country literally in an hour's time. And take every secure point in the nation. It's Russia. That would be like expecting, I don't know, the state of New York to defend itself against the other 49. And good luck with that, Tater. Alright, Kiev quietly asks Washington for high-end weapons, says Politico. Record number of Chinese chip firms go bust, says media. Leaked documents expose Ukrainian attempts to destabilize Russia and draw NATO into a full-scale war with Moscow. FedEx to close stores, putting off hiring as demand slumps. Biden warns Russia against nuclear option in Ukraine. Power prices in Germany forecast to soar. Russia and India to start trade in rupees. Ukraine once again endangering nuclear plant, says Moscow. Sri Lanka apologizes for seizing Russian plane. Pentagon releases Ukraine weapons list. German party faces split over Ukraine, says the media. Epstein victims angered by public rehabilitation of Prince Andrew, says media. A Nazi past prevents Germany from sending more weapons to Ukraine, says Zelensky. Biden admits he lied, but he won't remember he admitted he lied. A photo of Zelensky guard sporting Nazi insignia vanishes. Real Madrid defends Brazilian star in racism row. Erdogan reveals Turkey's latest goal. France trains Ukrainian troops in secret, says Politico. Pelosi arrives in Armenia amid deadly conflict. U.S. Army fights losing battle with mold. EU takes aim at press freedom with new law. EU countries conflicted over legality of banning Russians, says media. Bill Gates' ex-wife blames men for Washington's failures. What would you think if she would just pop up in the political sphere? Wouldn't that be interesting? Ukraine's unnatural borders should be redrawn, says EU's country's ex-foreign minister. U.S. becoming a less developed country, says a report. I would agree with that. NATO admits it's been preparing for current situation for years. UK's new PM snubs Biden. Imagine that. Kremlin responds to Western nuclear claims. That Liz Truss is probably just like, you know what? No, don't even bother. You won't even be in office long enough for me to have to worry about you. Just don't. Swiss leaders shrug off referendum on F-35 deal. Iran sees no difference between Biden and Trump. Now that should say something. That should say something. But it probably won't. Hang on. Sinuses are trying to be a pain in my butt. Oh, I got huffed apparently. Yeah, they're giving me hell today. Okay, now we are down to today's news, and then I can run out the door and scream. Alright, Ukraine fumes over unnatural borders claim. Washington targets China's tech sector, says Reuters. Canadians' wealth suffers biggest drop on record. China slams Czech visit to Taiwan. European demand triggers uranium price surge. EU ports ready to accept Russian fertilizers, says the UN. Controversial LGBTQ march goes ahead in Serbia. Let's see. France to reap worst corn harvest in decades, says Bloomberg. Russia's richest man unveils employee share ownership scheme. 2 consecutive quakes rock Taiwan. Best-selling cars in Moscow revealed. Long delay in German howitzers for Ukraine, a report reveals. A European country launches firewood distribution website. Pelosi offers U.S. security assistance to Russian ally. Italy fears France may halt power supply, says reports. Russia and China aren't trying to rule the world, says Kremlin. EU to deprive Hungary of billions in funds. PayPal threatens to cut NBA franchise sponsorship if controversial owner stays. And I shared that because, I mean, it's more or less sports related, but the reason I shared that one out is it shows you the level of nonsense, right? I mean, these are banks. PayPal's a bank. These are banks. And for them just to be able to cut you out of the system, I'm telling you, they're normalizing this and getting people ready for the day that just on a whim, anybody, they can just, it doesn't matter how much money you thought you had, on a whim, boom, you got nothing. It's freaky. U.S. private military contractors hit in Ukraine, says Russian MOD. Hungarian PM warns Ukraine could lose up to half of its territory, says media. Germans could be left without a country soon, says Trump. First Russia-U.S. seat-sharing spaceflight looms. Ukrainian grain prices undercut EU farmers, says Wall Street Journal. Let's see. Scottish football fans sing anti-monarchy chant during Queen Elizabeth tribute. Reptiles occupy Riviera. Idiot Greens made EU dependent on Russian energy, says Le Pen. NATO official shows off anti-Russian socks. Let's see. Bill Clinton denies blame for Ukraine crisis. And Biden claims U.S. forces will defend Taiwan. And that's it. Like, that should be enough. Anyway, that's all I got for you. I am going to jimmy on out of here and relax. God willing, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll do it again. I appreciate everybody coming. I hope to see you tomorrow night. As always, God bless you. We love you. Be one with your spirit. And shalom.